Dealers and American Window Products.
On 1010XL.
Now your hosts,
Lauren Brooks,
Donna Murphy,
Blythe Brumleve, and Lauren Rue.
Well, Donna has the night off, but we are going to talk plenty of sports topics and a whole lot more as well. The Jaguars lost their fourth straight game. This past Sunday, it was a 24-18 loss to the Eagles. And it took me a long time to figure out how I felt about this game. But Blythe, it took you no time. So I'm going to start with you. Was it upsetting, frustrating, disappointing? Did it not hurt that bad?
It did not hurt that bad, and I feel like I'm in the minority on this, only because this outside of the Patriots game, this was the first time that I felt like this team was showing flashes of 2017. So it was one of those situations where it was a great game. They were in it until the very end. Obviously, there was a bunch of questionable coaching decisions and play calling decisions, but outside of that, I thought a lot of the players played pretty well considering the circumstances. So it wasn't one of those games where it was like Dallas, where I was just the season is over, I hate this team, hey, you gotta fire everyone. That was my mood after the Dallas game, and I think I'm just sort of in the boat now where it's just we're playing with house money. So it's not something that's going to ruin my entire Sunday. It's not something that's going to ruin my entire Monday and even leading up into Tuesday. And that was the case for me earlier in the year. I don't know if maybe I've just accepted that maybe the season is lost a little bit, but I still think that there is some hope that the Jaguars can go on a little bit of a run here.
And see, I thought the Jaguars were going to beat the Texans, and I thought that was going to be a big way to turn around two straight losses and be able to look towards potentially the playoffs. And I thought if that didn't happen, there's no way this season is going to end in any way, shape, or form in the playoffs in any sort of January potential. So when the Jaguars lost to the Texans, I said, well, the Jaguars are losing to the Eagles. And now my emotion changed. I was not expecting a win, and I almost had a moral victory type of feeling, which is why my emotions were all over the place, because I was like, wait a minute, I'm not supposed to have this, oh, well, we played pretty well type of feeling, but that's how I felt Sunday. I still went out and had a great rest of the day, and maybe it's the early kickoff that you still do have plenty of hours to enjoy this incredible weather, but I kind of went back and forth. I am very disappointed that they couldn't get the win when it was so close, and why go for two, and then, why can't they run the ball, and why didn't they even try to run the ball?
Right.
And so there was all of that, but then there was a mixture too of, hey, it wasn't a blowout loss. I don't feel incredibly embarrassed for this football team.
Revert back to 2016 feelings.
Yeah, and so I think I felt both ways. It didn't hurt that bad because I thought they were going to lose, and I hadn't felt that way in a long time. But at the same time, hey,
it's not ruining my day. And that's my takeaway. It's like, I'm not going to let this team ruin my day.
It's not the same goal that it was a month ago.
Have we gotten to the point in the season where it is what it is?
Yes.
When you approach it like, well, it is what it is. They're not going to win some of these games, and I'm not going to approach it from a perspective of it's going to ruin my day, it's going to ruin my weekend, and I'm built up. It is what it is, right? This team is not as good as people thought they would be. This offense is worse than people thought that they would be. Every single week it's somebody different, whether it's the play calling, whether it's Blake, whether it's the wide receivers who can't catch the football, whether it's refusing to run the football, the defense who hasn't lived up to its elite status. It is what it is at this point. And now you're at the bye week. And of course, those who are just now tuning in and maybe haven't heard, Dante Fowler has been traded to the Rams, as you mentioned, or as Tara mentioned, for a third round and a fifth round pick in 19 and in 20, which is, I think, a really smart move to make. But here's the reality of it. When you lose 4 straight, when you're 3-5, your priorities become a little bit different, I would assume. Your priorities on a Sunday are, my life's not over if the Jags lose. My day's not over, my week's not ruined, because your fandom has been able to carry them as far as they can go to a point where it's like whatever you do is not, they're going to do what they do each week. And I would assume that's extremely frustrating.
Well, I think it's just more, last season was so unexpected and it was so much fun that this season
this is not fun, right? Has there been the funnest part has been New England?
Yeah.
The Jets was
And-
probably like, oh, cool, we didn't.
And New England.
Right, that's it, though.
Honestly,
That's
and
not-
that has been it, but it's almost like a wake-up call. It's almost a reality check that, look, especially with trading Dante Fowler today, that there could be a major rebuild in the future for this squad, and that includes front office, that includes coaching staff, and it includes a lot of different players on this team. I think when we're talking about this team a season from now, we're going to be talking about a completely different roster in a lot of different position groups, and I think that I had all of these off-season hopes and expectations, and they were crushed in sort of, in a humiliating fashion after the Dallas game, and now it's just sort of acceptance of that fact that these were moves that we had to make last season. We probably should have gotten rid of Dave Caldwell. We probably should have gotten rid of Nate Hackett. We definitely should have gotten rid of Blake Bortles and not made all of the off-season decisions that we've made. Now we're going to have to spend the next couple off-seasons retooling the entire team.
So what happens next? What's the best case scenario after the bye week?
Well,
for this
let
team?
me go back a little bit. I don't know that they're that far away, Blythe, in the sense that if you're able to keep most of the pieces on the defense and you give the offense weapons, like actual weapons.
They addressed nothing but the offseason the offense in the offseason, and zero improvements.
Well, no,
zero.
Because the first pick, the 28th pick or 29th pick overall, 29th, was Taven Bryan, a defensive lineman. They could have gone after a Sony Michel or a lower round potentially quarterback.
But
they didn't do everything. I feel like they could.
They went out and got a tight end. They went out and got a wide receiver. They re-signed Blake Bortles.
They
They did
but
all these moves.
They didn't get what I consider those big time weapons, those big time pass catchers. They got a guy who.
Then they should have addressed it in the draft.
And I agree with you there. But as far as, because they spent so much money on this defense, it was trying to kind of piece together an offense.
It's also to their ignorance of that the NFL has already changed. It's already a passing league. It's one of those changes that you have to be ahead of the game. And the Jaguars have known that Blake Bortles is their number one problem on offense for most of his entire career with this team, and they have yet to address it. And even when they do have a somewhat serviceable solution and backup Cody Kessler, they refuse to acknowledge it. And it's those bonehead decisions that they don't want to think progressively, and they're not reactive, or they're not proactive, they're reactive, and it's too late.
But I think you're a quarterback and some big time weapons away if you can keep the defense where it's at. And you're not going to keep everybody. Obviously, again, Dante Fowler Jr. now headed to Los Angeles.
Which was a smart move, I think.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that one. He has 2 sacks so far this season and some other splash plays as far as a forced fumble and recovered a fumble. But overall, he wasn't contributing to the way that he should have been with that 3rd overall pick. But I don't think you're incredibly far away to the point where they were, say, 5 years ago, when you look at that roster and you think, oh my word, what were these guys doing starting on an NFL team? They are much closer than that. So I think you're maybe, I don't know if it's trading or drafting the right quarterback away. It's always scary to put a rookie in that situation. Look at the rookies so far this season. Even the highly touted ones are not necessarily fantastic. But I don't think they're so deep in the quagmire that you have to rebuild entirely. So that's the hope that I have for moving forward.
Well, I think a lot of the key leadership positions need to be addressed sooner rather than later, and that comes at the helm of Dave Caldwell, who's had 1 out of his 6, first-round draft picks have been, either out of the league, or they're no longer on this team, or they're traded away, and it's, you have to look at those player personnel decisions that were made in the offseason, where arguably a fraction of them have only succeeded, and a very small fraction, including free agency, pickups, trades, draft selections. It's really one of those things that Dave Caldwell has been questioned a lot, and last year was sort of I think almost like a mulligan for him, because he did. A lot of those picks did turn out well last season, but like I said, the NFL has already changed so much in less than 1 season, and all of the offseason decisions that were made have blown up in our face.
And to answer your question, Lauren, as far as what happens after the bye week, I think beating the Colts is the only sole focus that this team should have. And I'm sure that is what they're going to do, is not even look past the Colts and look at the fact that the Steelers are coming in on a Sunday night to TIAA Bank Field. But I think it is literally all manpower, all possible resources, the best possible game plan you can put together, get Carlos Hyde up to speed, because obviously Doug Marrone said that that's the reason they didn't use him more, is he was new here, they could tell that. But whatever you have to do, spend all of your resources. The only problem, I said this on Twitter during the game, this team needs the bye week so incredibly badly because of all these injuries, right? The only bad part about the bye week when it comes, if you're looking at it from the outside looking in, the players get time off. I mean, they're required to by the CBA. Well, how are they going to be progressing and learning and getting treatment when they get time off? And I know if you're a player, you're sitting here going, this is desperately needed for us. We need time away from the building. We need to recover on our own. And we need a breath of fresh air. I totally understand that, sure. But as the fan perspective, it's like, no, I want everyone in the building working overtime, no sleep until you figure this out. All right. When we come back, we're going to continue on the Jaguars and also get to a little Georgia, Florida. That is all next. You're listening to Helmets and Heels, built by Dreamfinders Homes on 1010XL.
Get your first glance at Sunday's matchup on the 1010XL kickoff.
Lauren?
You got it.
I think I like this one better.
Alright, here we go.
The last 2 years, the Jaguars returned a punt for a touchdown, earning local families $100,000 towards a Dreamfinders home. Lauren Brooks here, letting you know that could be you this season. Visit any Dreamfinders Homes model and register to win the Take It to the House promotion for your chance at scoring $100,000 towards your Dreamfinders home. And make it a point to visit Dreamfinders Home's newest stadium home before any home Jaguars game. Take a free tour and register for a chance to win amazing grand prizes. Dreamfinders Homes will select one winner per home game, only at Dreamfinders Stadium Home 2.0 by Gate 4 at TIAA Bank Field. Dreamfinders Homes, homes built to fit your lifestyle. Thank you.
Yeah.
Is there all pro roofing tonight or no?
Yeah, there's 2.
There is. Okay, that's interesting.
Next break, you have Bold City.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Yeah, so I'm not sure if Ashlyn's joining us tonight or not. It's not a big deal, obviously. She does not.
Where do you want me to go?
Oh, you can go with what we had
Whatever.
planned. That's fine.
Okay.
I just said more Jaguars because I hadn't figured out. I was still looking back through to see if we talked about everything up above, but we can always get back to it later. Whatever. I don't care.
Okay.
Whatever you feel like.
Whatever you feel like. I'll probably lead with Florida, Georgia game,
Sure.
and then I'll bring in the Fergie thing.
I like it. This guy tweeted out, wondering how often other people hit repeat while listening to songs from a playlist. I just listened to Marshall Tucker's band, Can't You See, 4 times. Is that normal?
I will listen to a song 20 times in a row if it's like new and I love it.
But that's certainly not new, so that's where, like, yeah, if it's a brand new song, I'll listen to it on repeat until I know all the words. But if it's an older song, I never put it on repeat.
Yeah.
Side note, John Party's coming to town, isn't he?
Oh, I didn't hear that.
I was at the gym and I saw it all in the corner of my eye. It said John Party and I couldn't see the venue of where he was playing.
Let's see.
But I don't think it would be on
He's
TV.
coming to Sea Island November 17th for the RSM Classic. That's obviously very close to here, but that is not.
I want to say it looked like the St. Augustine Amphitheater logo or something. It was like one of those side TVs.
T-Wig used to call me Sayu because one time I was reading Sioux Falls and my mind just left and I was like, Sayu Falls. And they made fun of me so bad, which is I would too.
Yeah.
And so he called me Sayu for like 3 months after that.
That's funny.
I see no Florida on this schedule at all.
Dang.
So is it possible that they were advertising that Sea Island Classic?
I think maybe it was like First Coast Living was on or something, and it was one of those commercials. So it made me think that it was a
Because that's
local
that
commercial.
Davis Love the Third thing, that golf tournament, and he probably has them promote that.
Damn, Lauren Rue, I hear you. Touched and plumbing.
Touch of plumbing, what? And Touchdown.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Plumbing.
guess that that's what it is because honestly, right after that, he's in Canada for like
damn.
a long while. Well, he goes
I
to
really
Las
wanna
Vegas,
see him
Colorado,
headline.
Oklahoma, and then Canada for like 12 dates.
Damn.
Um, And then this is Ontario, Canada, USA, which is kind of funny because clearly Ontario, Canada is not USA. But that's fine. Yeah, which is next Saturday, or not next Saturday, 2 weeks Saturday. So I'm not surprised they were advertising it. Sea Island is gorgeous.
Isn't that the place where you have to take a boat? You can only take a boat out there.
No, it's right near. At least I've never taken a boat there. It's right near St. Simons. It's like St. Simons and Sea Island are like right near each other. I did a tour of homes there many years ago with my mother and my grandmother, and we toured through like a home where Winston Churchill's granddaughter was married, and like the centerpieces in this home were bigger than this microphone stand, and that was just like a normal day. They just had, and they were all right on the ocean, and they were all like 20,000 square feet, and it was intense. Like, intense and gorgeous. Thank you, sir.
Listening to Helmets and Heels, built by Dreamfinders Homes,
Presented by Underwood Jewelers and American Window Products.
on 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
Well, there have been a lot of firsts since the Rue family has moved to Florida. Not a whole lot to experience yet because we moved at the end of the summer and the beginning of football season, which means work. But Saturday was a first for us as we attended our first world's largest outdoor cocktail party. And I'll tell you what, ladies, I underestimated how hard folks would throw down for said party.
We tried to tell you.
You
last
did.
Tuesday.
I told you not to bring the kids.
You did, like you did. You said, you know what, I really wouldn't. I'm like, it's a football game on a Saturday afternoon at 3:30.
I even said leave the husband home with the kids.
Let them stay. Go by
Bring
yourself.
the girls.
Yeah, and you
Do
said
it
bring
up.
your friends. I said I don't have any friends, and here we were feeling sad about my life. I'll tell you this much. I underestimated the debauchery that, again, I didn't give it that name because they're like, oh, it's a debacle and it's crazy and people get hammered and all the things and just wait. I'm like, yeah, okay, look, I've tailgated before. I've seen that scene. It's okay. It'll be all right. And then closer we got to it, I got like this anxiety and I was like, oh my God, is this going to be like a bleep show? You know when people are like, oh, it's a bleep show? It's like, oh no, it's a bleep show. So I tell Daniel last week, I'm like, I'm really stressing about this. He's like, why? And I'm like, just because I have this feeling it's going to be like a scene from like the Jersey Shore meets The Walking Dead and all the things. And that's exactly what it was. We got there around 2 o'clock because of the flag football game that we attended and won. Thank you very much. And we're pulling into the traffic wasn't too bad because we had missed most of the traffic, and we're pulling into the parking, and it's like, here comes these people. And if you've ever seen the show The Walking Dead or any zombie apocalypse scene you can paint a picture of in your mind, imagine that, and people falling against your car and like your kids looking up at the window like, oh my God, what is happening? So I said this yesterday on Midday Chalk. My kids don't live in a bubble, and they get that adults drink and say bad words and all the things. But oh boy, that was a whole nother level. So my experience was different because I brought my children to something I probably wouldn't do again. I would go back as an adult with my significant other and leave it at that. But your experiences, obviously without kids because you don't have them, but I wasn't prepared for that kind of interesting
energy.
Energy.
Well, you got there honestly about 4 to 6 hours after most people have shown up, gotten to their tailgate or gone to a friend's tailgate, and literally their plan was to drink until they didn't remember everything that day.
Yet.
No, I was not.
not
That's
even-
what I was saying.
not even
So
close.
JJ, you bring up a good point. It's like showing up to the party, like in college or in your 20s when you can do all these things, and
You're the Mormon kid.
no, you're the kid who had to work late, and everybody's like, come by the party, and you're like, I don't get off till like 11:30 or midnight. And they're like, no, it'll be fine. And you get there and everybody's hammered, and you're like, what? This is what it
Just
looks.
start
This is what I
counting
look
shots
like.
to try to
This is
catch
what
up.
It's like this is what I look like when I'm the sober person in the group. So
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we pulled in at right around 8:30, and we sat in a little bit of traffic at 8:30
Wow.
to get to the parking lot. It didn't take us long, only about 5 minutes, but I mean, there was a decent line of people at that early of an hour. Pull in, and we were by far not the first ones. I mean, this parking lot was
well, it's been that way
J.
since Tuesday. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, the
right?
RV part,
Sure.
right. But I mean, as far as people getting there that day, tons of people already there, set up their tents. The people next to us had a very elaborate bar. We're talking about 12 different types of liquors, several different bottles of wine, goblets, a silver gator head around a glass bowl, another like silver dish that was in the shape of an alligator to put their dips into, like
The
taking
tailgates
it
are amazing.
Seriously, right. And they got there again before we did. We got there at 8:30. So people, I think, too, are like, because they don't serve alcohol in the stadium, are like, all right, we've
And
got
thank
to
God
go
for
because
that.
we only
Yeah.
have, let's say you get there at 10 o'clock. We only have a few hours before we have to go in the stadium. We have to do the Jello shots, and we have to take
yeah.
shots in general, and that is the whole thing. And I understand that some people feel like it shouldn't be that way. I certainly understand. But why do you think it was glossed, the world's largest outdoor cocktail party? And why do you think that, and I understand this part too, the city of Jacksonville said, whoa, we don't want it to be that. We want it to be just be a huge annual rivalry.
Yeah.
Well, when you have so many people coming downtown just to tailgate, never ever planning on going to the game, not even gonna
Me.
think about scalping tickets.
Me.
Great, lots of people, thousands of people planning on tailgating. That's when you get what becomes a party that you would go to in college.
Honestly, it was the best Florida Georgia I've ever had. We started really early. We got down there, I want to say around 9:30, 10 a.m. Had to take an Uber to get down there, stuck in traffic for probably close to, it was a 30-minute drive to get in there, and 20 of those minutes we were waiting in traffic. But as soon as we got down there, we went and checked out the College Game Day set. I've never actually seen, I know they've been here a couple times for this rivalry game, and I've never actually seen them. So I went over, checked out the set, saw the big bus. There were a bunch of vendors that were out there. Pizza Hut was giving away free pizza, and you had a whole bunch of liquor vendors that are giving out free liquor, and just McDonald's is giving out free coffee, Monster Energy, like all of these vendors are out there just on the road just handing out free stuff. So we hung out in the College Game Day area for a minute, then we walked over to the practice squad or the practice fields, and we checked out the indoor practice facility. They had a whole bunch of things, little football drills that kids can take part in, and they were having fun there. And then we left there and walked over. We got invited to the Captain Morgan tailgate party and walked in. I've never even been over, but it was like where the First Coast News building is, and there was a whole bunch of different vendors that were all set up in there that were all demoing different foods and liquors and products. So we walked over to the Captain Morgan area, and they gave us pirate costumes and steins and filled our drinks with Captain Morgan and whatever drink that we wanted. So we got to take all that with us, got to dress up as pirates and like walk around Florida, Georgia. The only problem with that is that my friends who are Gator fans, they were wearing like red Captain Morgan like jackets. But my girlfriend who went, she's a huge Gator fan, but she was also wearing a sundress, and it was a little cold that day, so she was happily wearing that Captain Morgan red jacket.
If it was
Well, lesson learned. So next year will be done a little differently.
Yeah.
Yes. And
Without kids.
honestly, like, it is one of the best days of the year, especially if you get good weather, which we had wonderful weather. It was a little chilly in the morning, but all you needed was like either a jean jacket or like, I had a little flannel shirt. And then we walked over to SEC Nation because that was a little bit closer to where we were. And then we walked over to our friends who had an RV in RV City, and it's almost like, and they weren't in the main RV City, they were kind of across the lake. And it's almost like you didn't even know there was this giant party going on. It was quiet, and there were dogs and kids, and so it is crazy how you go 100 feet and the whole scene changes drastically. Yeah,
no doubt about it.
It is just, I think, for me personally, like it is one of those days where you're having bowl peanuts before 9 a.m. and you have mimosas or poinsettias, and poinsettias are champagne with cranberry instead of orange juice. And then, people who don't normally drink that much are drinking wild turkey. My dad's best friend drinking wild turkey at 8:30 in the morning. And it's just, for me, again, none of this group is going so crazy that they don't remember what's going to happen or that they're getting sick. It's none of that. But it's just fun to see people once a year. It's almost like Halloween, where you get outside of your traditional kind of character and you just relax and act literally like you're in college all over again.
Well, again, I have learned my lesson, and we'll approach things differently next year for...
It is a lot of fun. Honestly, it's one of the best days of the year.
Totally, and I'm not this, I get it, and I can throw down with the best of them, and this was just like...
Which is why you'll have so much fun.
Yeah, it'll be great. Do-over, I'll give it a do-over. That's not something I would take my kids back to.
Yeah, and that's why last Tuesday... I know people who brought their kids this year, and they had a fine time.
Right.
It all depends on where you are and what you're doing. But I knew what you would enjoy out of it most.
Right.
And that would be, the socializing with adults and having
hanging
drinks
out and having
eating
drinks
good
and
food. And
all
so
the things. Yeah.
I felt bad that this was going to be your first experience.
That's
because
okay, though.
Even though your kids aren't sheltered, there's still a level of
Yes,
things that you're going to see there.
Safe and you don't,
Ooh, I saw some things on Twitter that people were sending out. It was throwing up pictures, people doing the nasty.
Yes,
like
we had people say,
Well, you guys saw what we saw, which was there was a guy in a Speedo.
Yes,
and then it had like an alligator.
Yeah, I saw that guy too.
Yes. He walked right by us. I was like, "Move, kids! I gotta get a picture of this."
Yeah, my mom ran up to him and took a picture. I'm like, "Why? I don't quite understand why you wanted a picture."
The people watching is fantastic. It doesn't get
great.
any better than Florida, Georgia. It really doesn't.
Okay, so this next topic is very interesting. Fergie sang the national anthem that last NBA season at a Golden State game, and it was terrible. All things terrible. Google it, listen to it. We're not going to ruin your evening but it was so bad.
I think we played part of it when it happened.
Probably,
yeah.
So. It's bad. She was ridiculed is probably a fair word for it. There's the camera going to Draymond Green's face where he is like really trying not to laugh. It's bad. It's one of the worst I've ever heard.
But she was sick before she sang. Right?
It had nothing unless she was like sick, like in the brain.
It was just her rendition.
The rendition of it was bad. It wasn't as if her voice was wrong and off key.
She has a great voice.
Yes, she took it a whole new level of.
Okay, I didn't misremember.
No, yeah. So with the break your hand. Okay, that part is. Number one. Number two is Kristen Leahy has a new show. She left the Colin Cowherd show, 6 months ago or whatever. Now she has her own show where it's like, let's sit down and let's talk about things. She sat down with Ray Rice, was one of her first interviews. Well, for whatever reason, her most recent guest was Josh Duhamel. I think Duhamel, which is not spelled that way, which is weird. But anyway, which is Fergie's ex-husband. The conversation was brought up about Fergie being made fun of and this rendition of the national anthem, and he weighed in on it. It was like, you know what, I think Draymond Green's a real bleep and he owes her an apology because that's mean and all these things. Well, this was a few days ago that he goes on the show to talk about this. They get word, and so after practice one day, the Golden State Warriors are in the locker room and they set up a video camera and they're icing up and they're doing their things, and somebody turns on a remix of the version of her singing.
Which doesn't sound too bad. Oh, that's bad.
Right, so this is the original version. The remix is even better. So they've decided to further...
Pink that was sick. Sorry.
That's okay. So they've started to further troll her and do all these things because her ex-husband comes out and says, you owe her an apology and stood up for her and almost made it worse. So,
definitely made it worse.
Right? So in the public eye, we get criticism. Whether we like it or not, it's part of the job. Sometimes it's warranted and a lot of times it's not. And I have recently been hammered from a lot of different directions. And not once, my husband is on social media, has he ever said anything back to anybody or taken the opportunity to, quote, stand up for me. I appreciate that. I don't want him fighting my battles. I don't need him to. It's not that I'm this big, powerful, but it's like, hey, look, you don't have to be that person for me because I can handle myself. But do you guys feel like there's a time and place where that's necessary, where the spouse or the significant other should step up, or somebody's mom should step? Because I've told my mom before, like, Mom, well, please don't respond to any of that stuff. You either just don't read it or look at it and erase it from your memory, but please don't say anything. What do you guys think?
In person, I think it's different than online, because I hammered Giselle, Tom Brady's wife, a couple years ago when she was, defending her husband to the public, and it's like that's not your place to talk about. You need to just sort of step back and let him handle his professional business. And I think that this is the same situation. Josh Duhamel should have never commented on it, and if he is going to be asked a question in that regard, he should say, well, I didn't think it was her best performance. He should have said something a little PC, not, Draymond Green owes her an apology. I mean, I don't know why he's going out trying to white knight for his ex-wife. It doesn't make too much sense, because anybody with an objectionable opinion could hear that national anthem rendition and know that it was awful. It's cringe-inducing.
This is, I think, one of the more tricky situations when you're talking about someone being insulted for their profession, or someone being insulted, let's say, for something they can't control, like their looks. If someone said that you, Lauren, were fat, ugly, regardless of
that has been said.
Okay, regardless of that.
Yes.
Then I think I understand where if your husband was like, hold on, I think you're the most beautiful woman alive. I really want to respond to these people. And I don't care if I get the flack from that, because obviously they know I'm married to you. But I want to stand up for you in that regard. I think that's perfectly acceptable.
You wouldn't tell him to stay out of it?
If he did that to take up for me and we didn't have a conversation about it, I would totally understand where he's coming from. But as far as what I say or my opinions, that part I would never want the interference or the standing up for me. Like, no, you got this, I got this. What I think stands for itself. I am going to be wrong sometimes. I will say that I'm wrong. And these people are just people who are, very brave because they're not seeing me face to face. There have been so many people that at one time or another have said something on Twitter, and I'll respond in a nice fashion and just say, like, sorry you don't agree, or sorry that things changed with, the lineup, let's say, and immediately they respond back like, no, we love listening, or no, we think you're great, I just didn't like this per se. And so it's interesting how all of a sudden everything changes when you're engaging with them, or if you were to see them face to face. But that to me, I guess, is a little bit of a difference.
I don't know.
But for me personally, Brian's not on any social media whatsoever, so it makes it a lot easier.
I wouldn't. If my significant other is responding on social media in regards to something, trying to defend me, I appreciate the effort, but I'm having a conversation later on and telling him, please don't do that, because you're only going to make the situation worse.
Yeah.
I know how you feel about me. I know you support me. I don't need you doing it in a public forum like that, because then that just makes it just adds fuel to the fire.
No, it definitely can. And one step further to this, I know we're up against it, is knowing when to back off as a parent. So somebody, whether a coach is talking to your kid, or somebody at school, because that's that fine line. Because we were all kids at one point where we wanted to handle our business and we didn't want mom interfering. But from a parent's perspective, at times that's hard, right? Because you're like, you tell me who that was, because I'll drive over there right now. And it's like, you can't be crazy, but I can be crazy. So just always keep that in the back of your mind. But listen, Fergie, if you sing a national anthem rendition like that, you are asking to be.
And she probably knows that too.
Oh
she
my God,
probably
it's
knows
so
that she was a little
bad,
extra
so
on that,
bad.
a lot extra
Yeah.
on it, and
Yeah.
that if she had a chance, she'd do it
sing,
over again.
Just sing the national anthem. Don't
Yeah.
make it. It's not an original song. You don't have to make it one. Please
Let
and
it be.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely. So much. All right. It's October, but we're always thinking of Valentine's Day. We'll get to that. Plus, your biggest letdown, whether it was sports related or something personal in your life. We'll have that for you when we return with Helmets and Heels right after this.
Playmakers, newsmakers, NFL insiders.
Bold City.
Thank you. And JJ, Ashlyn's good. She just texted me back. Do you understand the importance your nervous system plays in keeping your body healthy and strong? Lauren Brooks here, and if you want to learn how to transform your health, but you don't really know where to start, you've got to meet my friends at Bold City Health. They are so much more than just a chiropractor. Dr. Aaron and Dr. April will help you learn why you're having issues and how to correct them through adjustments and proper nutrition. Everyone at Bold City Health is there to help you learn simple, common sense tips to preventing disease and living a fuller, healthier lifestyle. And they're always so happy to see you. That's my favorite part. Call Bold City Health today at 379-4621 or find them online at boldcitychiropractic.com. Join Bold City Health for an introductory session on natural family planning, where you will learn a modern method of family planning that is 99.5% effective and can also help further evaluate reproductive abnormalities such as infertility, PMS, and chronic miscarriage. For more information, head to boldcity.events. That's boldcity.events.
Thank you.
No, thank you. She said, did you not get my email? I get all
Action's not
emails.
until 7 o'clock, correct?
What'd you say, Ashland, 7 o'clock?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Alright. Is this her first year with Jags?
Well, she was not full-time there last year. I think she was an intern somewhat.
So she got to go to London.
But this was her first time going to London, yes.
You guys think they're going to play 2 games over there next year?
That's been the trend.
The NFL just made a deal, 4 games over there, having
Yeah.
at least 2, and what? We know the Jags are at least one of them.
Correct.
I think they'll play 2.
I've heard 4.
You've heard they'll play 4 over
Not
eventually?
next year. But
Yeah, no,
But, like,
eventually.
Next year, do you think
a
they
lot of
can play
people
2?
think next year is going to be 1 home, 1 away, and they
See,
stay
I've
there
even
for
heard
10
2 home
days.
games.
Wouldn't be surprised. This franchise is all about money now.
I don't think they do
Now.
2 home games.
I think they all are.
Well, since the ownership change, yeah.
You don't think the other owners were trying to make money?
Weaver? No.
Okay. I just think they're all trying to make money.
Yeah, they're all trying to make money, but there's certain ways to do it and there's certain ways to not do it. And I think that they're exploring, from what I've heard, that they're exploring 4 games over in London.
Oh, yeah. We all know that.
Weaver's, I don't think, would have ever done that.
No. Well, that's an American guy, right? So I doubt
Yes.
that his instincts would have been to go
Let's
to
see what Dante says.
But good news for the Jags, I guess he didn't get the stadium.
Well, it's a lot of other things too, like your season ticket rewards, like for being a season ticket holder, have fallen
I don't
off.
know anything about it. I'm not defending him.
Oh, no,
I'm
I'm-
not a fan of Con. I'm just saying in general, it's
Yeah,
a
if you're
probably
not going to
good
play, you
thing
may as
that
well
he's-
join in Twitter.
Yeah.
It's with a lot of these
Got a
guys,
chance.
NFL teams. I'm sure you know they're just playthings for them. It's
Very
a bragging rights sort of thing.
He's got a soccer team.
And I don't fault him for wanting to make money, and I don't fault him for I wouldn't tell another businessman how to run his business, but at the same time, like, it just sucks.
Oh yeah.
Like when you think of yourself as the commodity
If
instead
I was
of
a Jags fan and they're moving another game to London, I wouldn't. I don't know.
But if it's an away game, it doesn't affect you. If it's 1
Yeah,
home,
you're
1
right.
away, there's absolutely no effect on a home.
Right, but if it's
You're right,
schedule.
but the fact that like Jags fans just accept that they have 1 home game a year is pretty despicable to me, honestly.
I've heard a lot of fans.
The franchise is like, oh well, we make so much money. It's like I don't care about that.
Right.
As a fan, I don't give a fuck.
And that's what sort of the mood has been over even before this
very
recent week. It's
accepting fan base.
it's starting to really. At first, I think a lot of fans just accepted like 1 game is fine, like it helps keep the team here. But any more than 1 game, it feels like 1 foot is out the door.
Yeah. The only thing about the 1 away is, I mean, again,
It's just
for a fan,
perception.
it doesn't affect you. But if it leads to 4 and you steal 2 home and 2 away,
I remember
or
we
2
did this
home.
topic over the summer. I got hammered on Twitter because I simply bringing up the sourced report. And then now you hear more and more news about the Jaguars are going to be playing more games over in London, and it's like, look,
The only thing about that, though, sometimes I feel like those outlets over there are not nearly as credible as the ones here. Like, they're splashing stuff. I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm just saying
well, the
they
most
don't have
recent
the
one,
same.
yeah, but
Yeah.
the one that Dan Patrick had over the summer, which he's not a sensationalist. He's not one of these guys that just shout over each other. He's one of the most credible, if if not the most credible guy in the industry, and he was the one that had the story. And
the only newspaper over there I know is like really up to some no good. Usually is the Sun. People say
that's
like,
who had the story
really
just recently.
sketchy. Yeah, but like one was in the Daily Mail, which is I guess legit.
Yeah.
Oh, see, I thought the Daily Mail was one of the tabloids.
They're
The
all
Daily
tabloids.
Sun or something.
They're all tabloids over there.
And I guess, yeah, that's the
But
hard
the
part
Sun
is to
is the
decipher.
one that, like, remember a few years ago when they had that dead teenage girl and they hacked into her phone?
Yeah.
And, like, tried to look at her messages, and her family, she was missing or something. Her family saw that her phone was back on and, like, thought she was still
Oh
alive.
my
and
gosh,
called her.
I do remember that.
Yeah.
I do not remember that.
They got screwed for that, obviously.
And then
Alright, here we go.
I didn't know much about it.
You're listening to Helmets and Heels, built by Dreamfinders Homes.
Presented by Underwood Jewelers and American Window Products.
On 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
Welcome back into Helmets and Heels, built by Dreamfinders Homes. My name is Blythe Brumleve, and I'm joined alongside Lauren Brooks and Lauren Rue. Donna Murphy has the night off. And I'm sure a lot of you have heard of Amazon Prime Day, but over in China, the equivalent to Amazon is a company called Alibaba, and coming up on November 11th is what they like to call Singles Day. So the holiday was apparently created back in 1993 on 11/11 to signify the one being, singular, and it's meant for people to celebrate being single. Retail-wise, which I thought that this was astounding, Singles Day on Alibaba is bigger than Prime Day, Black Friday, and Cyber Monday all combined. In 2017, they earned $17.8 billion, which is ridiculous. So there was a lot of people, especially with advertising magazines, that are wondering, with this holiday coming up, should America or the U.S. adopt this holiday in, maybe to help out some retailers?
If you can give anybody a reason for a good deal, right? I mean, I think that's the reality of it. The people who are shopping are not necessarily celebrating being single, but are like, oh, it's an opportunity to be a big deal. We are a consuming society where we are, like, I'm a sucker for Amazon Prime Day. I just recently got Amazon Prime, and I experienced my first Amazon Prime. I bought a bunch of crap I didn't need, but it was like, oh, what is this? Oh, that's 40% off. Let's buy it. And Daniel's like, what is happening? This is before we moved. One day he showed up at home and there were like 9 boxes from Amazon. He's like, what is happening? We are getting ready to move halfway across the country. Why would you buy that? I'm like, well, first of all, it's already boxed up, so winning there, so we don't have to re-box this stuff. Second of all, it was a great deal. And he's like, I guess I bought the most random stuff. So,
But free shipping.
and for, all the things. So if you can give people a reason to, like, get a good deal, I don't care what day you want to buy.
But you don't think that a singles day to celebrate being single would sort of take off in the U.S.? Because I think that dating apps like, maybe even Tinder and Bumble would celebrate this day.
Maybe. I don't.
But wouldn't that almost go back on what they're trying to do, the singles apps?
Maybe more in
Don't
Bumble's,
contact each other today.
Maybe more in Bumble's case, but Tinder's case, I think that they absolutely want to keep people single in order to keep people on their platform.
I think if you give people a reason to celebrate themselves, it's not necessarily a bad thing. I don't know that you have to encourage them to spend money. It's one of the problems that I have with certain holidays in this country is that I swear they were created just so people spend. And
Valentine's Day.
Correct. And it's like, wait a minute, hold on. You can celebrate your love with someone without spending additional money, without buying cards. You can make dinner for each other and have a wonderful evening without going to these extremes of buying someone presents and flowers and chocolate. Not that there's anything wrong with all those things. But you should do that to celebrate someone in general, not because someone tells you it's that day. But the Singles Day, I think, yes, if you're a single chick and all of a sudden there's Singles Day, you are going to be persuaded to, and maybe guys are less like this, but I think a woman would be persuaded to be like, oh, you know what? I'm going to celebrate myself today.
Treat yourself.
I'm going to get a massage, or I'm going to go buy new makeup, or I'm going to buy a new outfit, and I'm going to feel good about myself in the stature that I'm in or the status that I'm in. It has nothing to do with what I don't have in my life.
See, I also think it's a chance for guys too, that they can find out who is single, and then they can approach them with a lot of different gifts. So I think that has to
But
do.
how does the guy find out that chick's single if she's just going online and buying herself something?
Maybe I'm sure she's posting about it incessantly. A lot of people do that for Valentine's Day. Hey, look what my significant other got for me, and I'm sure that they would do that same behavior just for themselves. Like, look, this is something that I went out and got, or from a maybe even a girl's perspective. Maybe I'm going to buy something for a guy that I dig, and now that I know that he's single, I'm going to go out and get him something. One of the funnier things that I saw as far as one of the deals that Alibaba offered was a lifetime supply of alcohol for $1,673. I thought that was a steal.
A lifetime supply for $1,000?
Yes, apparently it's up to 13 bottles a month of some kind of like single grain rye or whiskey.
13 bottles a month?
13 bottles a month.
Wow.
I think
Which
I
I thought was
spend
brilliant.
over $2,000 a year on alcohol.
Right.
No,
Because
it's
I
a
just
great
did some
that's a
simple
great
math.
deal.
If you buy
No
4
doubt.
bottles, I'm just using wine for example. If you buy 4 bottles of wine a week total, then over the course of a year, you're spending like $2,500.
I do know that they limited it to like 33 people only, but still, that's a hell of a deal. And only a little over $1,000 for a lifetime supply of alcohol. I would sign up for that
They have to
immediately.
limit how much you can get and when. It can't
13
be
bottles a month.
For how long? Your
For,
whole
it
life?
says
But also
lifetime
what
supply.
kind? What kind
It's
of
some
alcohol?
kind. It was a deal with a liquor company that's over in China. I don't know the name of the
Ooh,
liquor
sounds
company,
sketchy.
but it's probably like Popov or something like
Yes, I was
bottom of the
just
barrel.
thinking
like-
Pop-Off. Oh,
I think
Lord.
that's Russian.
Yes,
Is it Russian?
But it is the
I assume all
dog
vodka is.
Mhm.
But I did read one commenter said that Western culture tends to look down on being single, so he thought that was the reason why
It's
a
to
singles day
celebrate-
wouldn't
yeah,
work
I can
over
appreciate-
here.
yeah, get
I think
that.
Western culture may have used to look down on being single, but I don't think it necessarily does anymore. I think
it's
because we're-
trending that way.
Well, yeah, because we're extending the age that men and women are single, and people are getting married later in life. They're having kids later in life, and obviously divorce rate has not been a small percentage for a long
Well,
time.
I think this is also the first generation that is doing those or participating in those trends. Like our parents, most of the time, got married very young, had kids, did 4 years of college, did everything that you were quote unquote supposed to do. And this is really the first generation that's saying, no, I'm all right being single. I'm all right making my own money. I'm all right, working on me first, and maybe waiting until I'm 40 to buy a house, or maybe not getting married and just having a domestic partnership. I think there are some of those trends that are happening, but this is the first generation that it's really happening in, or that a lot of people are starting to sway towards that side, I think.
the company should send you something if you bought something for Singles Day and be like, just send you a little thing like, you're gonna find somebody if you want somebody.
Only if
You're
you
not
want to,
gonna
though.
be single forever.
Don't settle.
Right, if you don't want to be.
I have seen those, those monthly subscription boxes. Like for a while, I was getting targeted ads on Instagram, and one of the boxes was a singles box. Like celebrate being single is the lamest thing I've ever seen.
What
And I
came
was-
in the singles box?
One of them wasn't in one of those like a jelly thing that you put a guy in water and he blows up, like he gets big, and I'm like, it was chocolate, and then it was something else I can't remember, but it was so cringy.
I
I
have
was like,
a few
who is
questions about the
buying
guy
this?
in the jelly.
I'm like, who is buying this thing? It's so tragic.
JJ, you're single, right?
Whoa, why do you say
Oh, that was judgy. That was a bit judgy, Laura Brooks.
No, because a few months ago I asked you
But
something
yes,
about
yes,
being in a
yes.
relationship. and
JJ, you're lonely, right?
No, I didn't say.
Yes, I
No,
am
hold on. Let me back up. Not all single people are lonely. Let me just establish
True,
that.
true.
Because at the times that I've been single in my life, I had some of the most fun that I ever
Hell
had
yeah.
there was no, commitment there existing. But JJ, we've talked about the fact that you are single. That's why I said it like
Yeah,
that.
I'm just playing around. I consider myself very single, Lauren, yes.
Happy and single, not
Very
lonely and single.
happy.
Okay, so my question to you
I
is.
see people, but I'm not in a relationship.
I see people. Good. That's better than whatever that one
I
kid
see
on that
dead people.
yeah that movie said. I
That's
see dead
good.
people.
That's
So my question to you is, how would you participate, or would you participate in a singles day, since you've got the male perspective?
No, because I know how it would end up. A bunch of single dudes. Doing things. Like,
would you-
single women don't go to functions because they're single. You know what I'm saying? That's not how it works.
Would you buy yourself something though to treat yourself because you're single?
I could get behind that.
Okay, that's really what I'm asking. If there's something that you've been putting off purchasing, let's say it's I don't know, what would you buy? Video game?
A massage or
Massage.
She basically
something.
painted a picture of you sitting in your apartment playing video games
I don't
by
play video
yourself.
games, but a massage I could do that.
A
Sounds
grill.
amazing.
If we want to go manly, I don't know,
grill.
something that you would refuse to buy yourself on a normal
Hammer,
basis.
nails.
Yes.
A whole toolkit. Yes. Would you
Rifle.
be inclined to buy it just because it was Singles Day?
I think I agree with Lauren Rue that if there's some type of sale on it, I'm there. Like Black Friday, I'm there.
You are. You're gonna wake up
Anything, yes.
Sucker for a
early.
sale.
I'm not like a huge wake up early guy, but I'm a huge on the computer ordering crap guy.
You are.
Definitely.
Okay.
So he's buying into the Singles Day hype, which I would. I think. I don't know that I would broadcast it, but I
Like I
think
said, women don't need to broadcast the fact that they're single to find a men. That's just y'all
DMs
can just
are
go
gonna
to
be
the gas
flooded.
Station.
it's gonna be a
The
nightmare.
gas station. Put your men out
Just
there.
go to the
We'll
gas.
take you home.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of buying into the hype, the Jaguar season has been a little bit of a letdown. When I say a little bit, I mean a lot. But have you ever looked forward to something and then you were really, really let down?
Yes. And it's petty and silly and stupid,
Do
but I don't
tell.
care. There have been times in my life where all I've really wanted is just like a good cheeseburger. I just want something simple, right? Like I'm starving, it's been all day, and I go through the drive-thru and I order something. And for example, there is a place called Brumleve. It's a franchise in the Midwest. It's burgers and shakes and things like that. And I ordered food that my husband wanted, which was like the bag of burgers, which was like 5 of them for $5.
And a
then I
crystal
ordered-
sack.
Right. And then I ordered my burger, which was not one of those, but more with like the lettuce and the tomato and all that stuff. And I was starving, and I was like, yes, I cannot wait to eat this when I get home, and I'm so like looking forward to this. I'm tired. I just want to like sit down and get in front of the TV and eat this burger. Well, here's what they did. Instead of bagging them in separate things and putting his small burgers in one bag and mine in the other, they smashed them all together. And guess where my burger was? At the bottom, smashed. And when I finally got to it and I've gotten home, and you know when you get home and you're like, I'm not getting out again. Like I'm so done with everything today.
Yeah, that's called every day for me.
Right. And I'm digging through the thing and I'm like, those bastards. Oh my, it's at the bottom. And it is like pancaked, smashed down, and I open it. And yeah, maybe I act like an Italian, and allegedly I threw it off the wall and screamed a bunch of cuss words because I'm so mad. Most
The
of
wall
my,
inside the home?
yes. And my husband Daniel was like, and I'm like, did you see what they did to my burger? And he's like, what are you gonna eat now? I'm like, I don't know, but did you see this? All I wanted was this burger. And look at it, they have just ruined my whole night. He's like, and you're crazy. So yes.
Did he share with you?
Yeah, he
his
offered. I
small
was like, I
burgers?
don't want those. Like a brat. I was like, that's not what I ordered, and that's not what I want. So yes.
So that's
fast
the
food-
biggest letdown you've ever had? That is.
Oh, well, I don't know if that's
Amazing
the.
life.
No,
Amazing.
I'm really just soaring high.
One trip to Brahms.
But I don't know that there's anything major in my life that's let me down like that moment.
How about Florida, Georgia?
No, that wasn't. Again, I came in like
That was a miscalculation.
that was a miscalculation. My point, but I haven't really been. I mean, if we want to get deep and go Dr. Phil here and talk about family problems.
Oh, no,
and
no.
such, right. I'll stick with the burger answer.
Yeah,
next.
yeah. That's a good one.
I think that is a good one. I wasn't thinking of anything too traumatic either, but a few years ago I went to see John Mellencamp in concert, and I was so excited. I love some John Mellencamp music, and Pink Houses and Small Town. And for some reason, something came over him, and he did not really play any of his famous songs, and he was like down in the dumps, and he was like, I'm gonna play for you guys a new
Oh, no,
song that I
that- yeah,
wrote
that's
after my
disappointing.
grandmother died, and we were all
Oh,
like, what is
that's bad.
happening here? And so that was, as far as like concerts go, something that I don't get so excited about, everyday life, but concerts, sporting events, that's when I'll get my expectations up. And that was one that I will say, unfortunately, I will never see him again. And I've heard he's great, and that was just an off time, but I
Yeah,
was ruined.
that's
And then
disappointing.
just recently, last week, this is a quick one, ordered a dress thanks to, Amazon, ordered a dress, ordered it in royal blue, couldn't wait to wear that, my cowboy boots, go downtown, gonna be great. The dress was purple. and it's
That
now
doesn't
going
work.
back to yeah.
What about you?
All right,
Bob?
mine really quick. The Last Jedi, Star Wars movie. You have an entire franchise of fans who knew, young and old, who were reintroduced to the franchise with The Force Awakens when that movie came out. Then you have all the older fans that are fans of the original trilogy, and some are fans of the prequel. But when The Last Jedi came out last year, it was single-handedly the worst Star Wars viewing experience I ever had. And Tony and I, Tony Smith, we did a podcast about it afterwards, and he was a big fan of the movie. I absolutely hated it, and now it's being called as the movie that has ruined Star Wars. All the spin-offs are currently on hold. We don't know how Episode 9 is going to be able to be ended just because of The Last Jedi and everything that they sort of set up to where they wanted to Rian Johnson, the director who is credited with ruining the Last Jedi and Star Wars, he was essentially trying to get rid of all fan theories and say, screw your fan theories, I want to do a new story, I want to tell my own story. But in a sense, he completely diminished all of the original trilogy characters. He completely diminished all of the new characters that were introduced, and then only to say that I'm going to start this new story. And then how he ends the movie with all of the central themes that are from the Star Wars universe. So it's just a complete contradiction of himself. I cannot tell you how much I detest that movie. There were a couple bright spots here and there, but one thing that's a little bit of a red flag is we had Nate Hackett on about a month ago, and I'm gonna criticize him for a minute because he said he liked The Last Jedi, and I've been questioning his decision-making skills ever since. It was a red flag. It was a red flag.
All right, when we come back, we're going to talk with Ashlyn Sullivan. She will join us from Jaguars.com, and we'll give away tonight's Peterbrook Chocolate Heel. That and a whole lot more is next on Helmets and Heels, built by Dream Finders Homes on 1010XL.
All pro?
Okay. If it's time for a new roof on your home, go pro with All Pro Roofing and Consulting. This is Lauren Brooks, and you deserve to win this football season. Lauren Brooks here. With no upfront deposits for a roof on your home, with All Pro Roofing, you win big. Certified by manufacturers, platinum members of the Northeast Florida Roofing and Sheet Metal Association, and part of the Lloyd's family of businesses, All Pro Roofing is your pro choice. Contact them today at allproroofingllc.com. That's allproroofingllc.com. You can trust my friends at All Pro Roofing and Consulting.
One more.
Yeah, no, you're good. I got all messed up because I literally said Lauren Brooks here twice.
We got another all pro next.
All right, I've got a different one. That'll be much better. All right, what does Ashlyn need? And no problem.
Post.
Got some scholar athletes of the week here, guys.
Yes.
That's
Apparently,
from,
Austin Castro has a 3.6 GPA.
that's very, very nice.
Community service, it says laps for lupus.
He ran.
For lupus.
Oh, I got to hang out with Alicia
But why
on
would
Saturday.
you
I
want to
forgot
do
to
it
mention
for
that.
lupus? For being against lupus.
What?
Like the rabies.
Well, they're all like that. They're like
Right.
for cancer or whatever. It's like, maybe. Damn, this person plays volleyball, soccer, softball.
Damn. Wait, the first rankings come out tonight.
Yes.
What was
Now.
your GPA at graduation for high school?
4.46.
Mine was like a 3.5.
That's fucking amazing.
4.46?
That is amazing.
That's a real thing?
How is you
Right.
get what?
Because with
AP
weighted.
classes?
Oh,
yeah.
Weighted.
Weighted honors and AP.
Yeah, my little brother, like, he got his AA degree before he finished high school because of what's it called?
I wish I knew about that in high school. I never knew about that
Yeah.
until my senior year.
Dual enrollment is like AP. My sister used to take a lot of AP classes, and she sucked at taking tests. So like she did the class for the entire year, and then failed the test at the end. So like didn't get the college credit.
Damn.
Yeah. I was not in those classes. So what about you?
3-2.
through.
Enough to get some scholarships. That's all I cared
Mine was
about.
like a 3-4. I can't even remember.
But then I got to college and I hated it. I had a full ride to go, and I hated
I
it.
was a way better student in college and high school. Way better.
It was an enjoyable
lot of people
experience,
I
but
took like a couple years off. That's why.
Before you went, or
Yeah, I didn't go
yes.
off.
I liked being in a learning environment where other people wanted to learn, but it still felt like a waste of time. Like I already knew I wanted to run my own business.
Oh,
Like
a lot of
so,
college is a waste of time.
it felt like the 13th and 14th grade, and so
Where'd you go?
I had a full ride. It was like a 2+2. They called it the 2+2 scholarship. Is 2 years at FSCJ and then 2 years at UNF. But I stopped going before I even got to UNF.
So did you get your 2-year degree?
No, I did a year and a half, and then I stopped.
Yeah, community college is like an extension of high school. I did that too.
I
But
still,
it's really cheap.
yeah. And they essentially paid me to go to college just because of the I had Bright Futures
Right.
too. As long as you showed up for like the first month of classes, they cut you a check
I had
afterwards.
Bright Futures.
It was awesome.
Very close.
Do they still have Bright Futures?
Yeah, I think they call it something else, but it's definitely around.
That I don't.
Is it called the Florida Promise?
Perhaps.
Arkansas
Yeah, I
Arkansas
think it's
Promise.
something
Like,
like that.
if you go to school, finish high
Florida
school.
Bright
Futures
Futures
called now.
Scholarship. It looks like
Yeah,
it's
they'll
still,
pay for any, if you get a certain GPA.
That's what it
State
was.
school.
Like I got
Yeah.
100% tuition paid
What's
for it
that?
because I had a high enough GPA and a high enough.
Good. You ready?
I had to take it freaking
All right,
4
I got
times, but I
45.
had
The ACT? Or
Oh.
the SAT?
SAT.
I took the SATs
Ugh.
and I didn't cut it on that one, but the ACT I did get.
Yeah.
That's more science based. The other one's like more.
Yeah. Oh, I got a 1220 all 3 times I took it the first 3 times. The
Okay.
exact same score,
Oh,
3 different
that's
times. And then I
frustrating.
finally studied.
Do they still do the SAT?
I think so.
Oh,
They
yeah.
just do the total differently. And then I finally got what I needed because I had to get over a 1270 and I was literally 50 points off 3 different times. Oh,
I hated that.
oh
I
it
had
was
to get up
terrible.
like 6 in the morning and like go to
Yeah,
some
it
random
was
school
terrible.
you don't know. And
Correct, yeah. Which
I
my
hated it.
school wasn't terrible. It was right near my house, but still, yeah. You're all nervous and
yeah.
oh.
And then you can't really study. I mean, you can't.
Yeah. But for me, college was like 10 times easier than high
Me
school.
too.
10 times easier.
By Dreamfinders Homes
Presented by Underwood Jewelers and American Window Products.
on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Lauren and Blythe with you as we welcome in Ashlyn Sullivan from Jaguars.com, digital reporter and host who just made her first trip with the Jaguars to London. Ashlyn, how are you and how was the trip?
I'm good. I'm happy to be home. It was really cool to see. I'd never been to London before, so it was cool to see all the touristy stuff that I've always seen pictures of. It was much colder than I expected. I brought a jacket, but I definitely should have brought a warmer jacket. It was really cool to see what a fan base the Jaguars have in London. We had people come up to us that were talking about specifics of drive time or whatever shows we do and saying how they watched every day. So it was really cool that we had so many people who tuned into all the stuff from Jaguars.com that I had no idea people were watching all the way in London.
We'll get to the game in a minute, Ashlyn, but outside of working, what did you do that was fun?
So Saturday we had some time to walk around, so I went and saw the London Bridge and Big Ben and all of the touristy stuff that I wanted to see. We went to this really cool market, and I was told that the London food wasn't that good, but every single meal I had was phenomenal. It was so good. So I don't know why people were telling me that food wasn't good there. 'cause it
That's
was
just
so
picky
good.
people.
Yeah. So I had a good time. It was a lot of work, but still some time to walk around, which was nice to get to see some stuff.
Ashlyn, there have been 2 times this season where I felt like I was watching the 2017 playoff team, the Patriots game being one, and then this Eagles game. Am I nuts to think that there were flashes with this team during this matchup that sort of gives me hope for the future?
Absolutely not. We all said the same thing, that there was fight and drive, and the defense was getting takeaways, and it did seem at times like the old Jaguars, the 2017 Jaguars. Blake was driving down the field and seemed confident in the pocket and seemed like he had command of the offense at times. Just they gave up too many big plays, and that seems to be the category of the story of this entire season so far, is that at times they played well enough to win, but just too many big plays have been given up. So I think if they can wrangle those big plays and not give them up. I think they have a chance to turn the season around because we saw highlights and we saw some glimpses of a really talented team with this roster.
Ashlyn, the $64,000 question, will Leonard Fournette be back and healthy and ready to play against the Indianapolis Colts? I know you don't necessarily have the answer, but how important is he to this football team if he's able to go?
He's huge, and you hate to rely on one person to fix all the offensive troubles, but we know what this team is built around. It's built around a power running team, and T.J. Yeldon is a complementary running back, and you're relying so much on T.J. Yeldon to be your one guy because Carlos Hyde hasn't figured out the system yet, and T.J. Yeldon, he's just not that running back. So I think if Leonard Fournette is able to come back for the Indy week or even weeks after that, if the Jaguars can get back to the style of play where they have Leonard Fournette as their main back and Carlos Hyde and T.J. Yeldon can help out, it would just get back to the system that we were all so comfortable with last season in 2017, seeing the power running game. And they're asking Blake Bortles to do too much when they don't have Leonard Fournette because he's not Aaron Rodgers. He's not going to whip it down the field. He plays a complementary style of offense around Leonard Fournette. So it's huge to get him back. And you hate that it all depends on him, but he's a huge, huge piece of this offense.
What's the plan for the coaching staff and the players during the bye week? Is it no communication, team bonding, or is it sort of just business as usual, just without a game?
I know that the players are probably here till tomorrow. That's what I was told. So they had meetings on Monday, they had meetings today, and then they're free to go. They're free to go see their families, go on vacation, take time away from football. And Doug Marrone stressed that in his Monday press conference, that everyone just needs a blank slate, chill out for a few days. They've been grinding so hard trying to fix the issues. I think it's important that everyone just takes a step back, comes in fresh and focused. I know the coaching staff is there until Thursday, and then they will take some time away. So it's really important this bye week to just take time off, and for everyone, it's just to breathe, because it's been a tough few weeks of trying to figure out what's going on.
Ashlyn, with about, I think, 20 minutes to spare before the end of the trade deadline this afternoon, the Jags trade Dante Fowler for 2 picks in the 19 and 20 draft. What do you think of the move?
I like the move. I thought if anything was going to happen, it was going to be Dante Fowler. You hate to see him go because we know he's a talented player. He's a heck of an athlete, but because he's not a key starter on defense, I don't think they're losing too much giving him away. And we know with the cap space and how close to the cap these Jaguars are in the future, it's really important to get picks in 2019 and 2020. And you're going to get a lot for Dante Fowler. He's a really good player. He's going to add a lot to those Rams. But I like the picks. I like moving towards the future. These Jaguars are going to have to draft young, talented players to replace guys like Calais Campbell and Malik Jackson and guys that are getting up there in age. And who knows how many of those explosive defensive guys you can keep, because you have so many of them, and those guys are expensive.
Last question before we get to Little Daly's Place. On the negative side, what was your emotion when you found out about the guys getting detained in London because of the nightclub incident?
I'm not going to lie, and everyone's saying, it stunk. It's hard because, you saw that guys go out. We all know they do. Every single team, guys go out on Friday night, but you hate to see how late in the night it was. And I was most surprised to see Barry Church's name in the mix, because knowing Barry Church, the professional he is, the guy he is, it just didn't seem right. So it seemed like there was more to the story because of Barry Church being involved. And of course there is more to the story, and who knows if we'll ever know all of the details. But you hope that this team, and with the word we used this morning on drive time was professionalism, you hope that you take away from this that everyone, including Barry Church, who I think is an incredible professional with his profession, you have to go into the next phase of this season as a professional, completely focused on winning these games. And I think they got away from that last week. And I think it was a wake-up call for this whole team that even outside of the building, you still have to focus on football during the season.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. All right, in a couple weeks, there's going to be a really fun event at Daly's Place, Rudy in Concert, featuring the Jacksonville Symphony. What do you know about this upcoming event, Ashlyn?
Yeah, so that'll be Saturday night, November 17th, coming up in November, and it's the Jacksonville Symphony, who we all know is extremely talented. And they're coming into Daly's Place and mixing some football in with Rudy, a classic football movie, one of the best. It's going to be a cool event, something different than Daly's Place has ever seen. It's not your normal concert, but I really like the idea of them mixing in football because the stadium being so close and the team connection. I think it's going to really appeal to our fans of the Jaguars and of Daly's Place.
Yes, and really that story surrounding Rudy is phenomenal. I grew up with some friends whose parents went to Notre Dame, and so I watched that movie a lot, and I know it'll be great. And then finally, what is the big ticket coming to Daly's Place?
The big ticket, yes, that's Saturday night, December 1st, so kind of far away still, but it'll come before we know it. And that is a combination of bands. You're getting a lot of bang for your buck there. It's Weezer and Foster the People, who are pretty major bands, and there's a few more that are being added to it. So it's a long event, and you're going to get a lot for what you're paying for, and I think it'll be cool, especially December, a Saturday night. It's going to be beautiful out, so that'll be a cool event to look forward to.
Absolutely, yeah. People complain occasionally that Daly's Place, man, it's so hot out. Well, yes, of course it's hot in Florida, but it certainly will be cool in December.
Not anymore, though.
All right, Ashlyn, thank you so much for joining us, and we will talk to you next week.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. That is Ashlyn Sullivan, digital reporter and host for Jaguars.com. When we come back, we'll give you the Fair and Fair injury update and try and figure out the first college football playoff rankings that have started to be released on ESPN. That is all next, just in Helmets and Heels, built by Dreamfinders Homes on 1010XL.
Tommy Mack is back.
Florida came in ahead of UCF.
All pro, you got it. Sorry, say it again.
Florida came in ahead of UCF.
Did they?
12 and 11.
We've all heard the horror stories of people paying for a roofer, but their roof doesn't get finished and the roofing company disappears. Lauren Brooks here, and if your roof is in need of repair or if you need a new roof, contact my friends at All Pro Roofing and Consulting. All Pro Roofing has over 25 years of experience. The best part is they don't require any upfront deposits and they never sub out their crews. All Pro offers industry-leading warranties because they're both state certified and certified by the manufacturers. All Pro Roofing and Consulting is a family-owned company and a part of the Lloyd's family of businesses. Contact them today at allproroofingllc.com. That's allproroofingllc.com. There you go.
Yep. Blythe, have you seen Halloween?
No,
Me neither.
I can't do scary movies. I cry.
Oh, really?
It's like, even if sometimes I'll get lost in like Reddit threads, like what's the creepiest thing you've ever seen or heard, and I'll just cry the whole time while I'm reading it. But I won't stop. The tears will just pour.
Interesting.
And the last scary movie I've seen, I watch it like this, and I'll plug my ears and then cover my eyes.
Like, I like to consider going to the movies a relaxing, enjoyable experience. And if I'm like anxious the whole time, I'm like, why am I doing this to myself?
The last scary movie I saw in theaters was The Grudge, and I had nightmares for
creepy, man.
weeks.
Which one is that? I don't even know which one that is. What happens in that one?
It was like
Don't talk about what happens.
it was based in Japan, and a kid or something started haunting a family that had just moved in, and
Oh, wait, I
had very like
yeah.
The Ring
Oh,
type
right.
horror stuff to it, like weird crawling and
No.
Wait, so they haven't released the top 5 yet?
No.
No, okay. That's what I thought.
They'll probably wait till 7:30.
Yeah, I know they take forever. That's why I kind of said that it's being released.
Oh, that got all the way to 7. Did you say that?
Yeah, I see
OU at 7 is the last
7
one
through
there.
10, yeah, but I don't see anything yet. Not yet.
So Alabama's number 1.
Mm-hmm.
What a surprise.
Clemson is, let's see, I saw it. Clemson is 2, LSU is 3, according to this.
Good.
And
then
then
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame is 4.
We're about to hear a lot of Notre Dame horse shit over the next couple months, so be ready.
Well, unless they lose.
No.
I would love that. What if Florida State beats them?
Oh my God.
That's kind of shocking that they're not in front of LSU.
I know.
You know why? Because they didn't want, even though it's just the rankings, they didn't want to pit Alabama against LSU. Because they play this
the
weekend.
one
Well, it's like a.
So they're
yeah.
just like, you know what? We'll throw
Yeah.
them
Yeah,
at
it doesn't
3.
matter.
They think
'Cause
Alabama
it
will beat
doesn't
LSU,
matter. Yeah.
so it doesn't matter. Yeah,
Right.
that's right.
I mean, they've had like a team on there for weeks, and then all of a sudden nothing happened. The next week they'll flip it around. They're just like,
Yeah.
This is way better than the BCS, but it's still like.
It's still flawed,
Yeah, but way better.
but way better. I agree.
I'm just afraid if we move to 8, we
I
might
don't
lose.
want that.
Yeah, I'm afraid we might lose the conference championships because if you're a Power 5 school and you say, well, then we're not going to play that because we don't have to
Like
if
the Big
my team
12.
can still
But what
get
does it
in.
matter? The conference championships mean nothing.
Well, they
That's
do.
why they're
Like
saying they're gonna get rid of them.
they do and they don't.
Like, the Big 12 doesn't even have one right now.
No, they
No,
do.
they do.
They got it
They
back
got
last
it.
Didn't they
year.
get one this
But
year?
like Notre
Last
Dame's
year.
not in a Power 5 conference.
Right.
They
so
did
they
it
don't have a
because
bowl game.
they were left in the college football playoff,
Correct.
and they were like, okay, there's 13th data point, and they
Yeah.
look at that because you don't
But
play.
there's not an automatic bid
the
just
problem
because
with the
you
Big
win
12
your
is they
conference
play each other
championship.
already. Like
Right.
it's they
Yeah,
everybody
yeah.
plays each other in the conference
Right.
because there's only 10 teams, so they all play each other, and they
Yeah.
play 9
For
conference
us, there's
games.
14 teams. in
Right,
the
and you don't
SEC.
play everybody during the
No.
season. Right. When you only have 9 conference teams
Yeah.
or 10,
Oklahoma
you
State
play
was
9.
exciting on Saturday, by the way.
What'd you
What's
say?
Oklahoma State was exciting on Saturday.
Yeah, that was a good game.
I like the fight. All right, here we go.
Oh, yeah. All right, let's take a look at the first college football playoff rankings. You're not going to be surprised about number 1 or number 2, but then after that, a little bit of a shakeup in comparison with the AP Top 25. Alabama is number 1, of course. Clemson number 2, also of course. And then LSU actually comes in number 3 above Notre Dame, even though LSU has the 1 loss to Florida. Notre Dame is undefeated so far this season. But I really think the college football playoff looked at it and said, you know what, Alabama plays LSU this weekend. That'll get determined in our little bracket. We don't want Alabama to play LSU, so we're just going to move LSU to number 3. Or they just really think the strength of schedule for the SEC is that much better. Number 5 is Michigan. For all you Bulldogs fans, you come in at number 6. So you certainly still have a chance, and they certainly all know that as well, by making it to the SEC championship and by winning, then certainly there is still hope for Georgia fans. But of course, on the other side, you are going to have to play Alabama or LSU, depending on who wins this Saturday. It's kind of cool, by the way. SEC East, the champion will be determined on Saturday. SEC West, the champion will be determined on Saturday as Georgia goes up against Kentucky in Lexington. And then meanwhile, Alabama travels to Baton Rouge and plays LSU. And you'll be able to hear all of those games on 1010XL this weekend. I'll round out the top 10. Number 7, Oklahoma. Number 8, Washington State. Number 9, Kentucky. And number 10, Ohio State. Florida, if you're wondering where you are, you're actually 11th. Coming in above UCF, even though UCF is undefeated and Florida has 2 losses. But again, that's a whole strength of schedule conversation.
Where's
And so
Louisville?
there you go. They are not in the top 25. And I know you are kidding. They are not in the top 25. Neither is Florida State. But certainly interesting stuff. Different than what I think a lot of people expected. All right, let's get it back to the Jaguars and a little injury update time now.
Injury attorneys of Farah and Farah present this injury update. Farah and Farah, protecting you and your family since 1979.
Well, I'll tell you this much. There are no off weeks or bye weeks when it comes to the Farah and Farah injury report. And we will bring you that right now. Nothing new to report because the guys are enjoying a couple of days off, hopefully to get healthier for those who need it. On Sunday, we saw, or rather didn't see, A.J. Boye, who was out. James O'Shaughnessy, of course, included in that. Tyler Patman. We're all still waiting on Leonard Fournette. Will he, won't he return at any point? But there was a lot of guys in the first 8 games of this season who were beat up. Is that all the reason for the recent problems. I don't believe so. It does add to it, though, of course. So we will, for the next week, won't hear much about who's the latest and what's ailing whom yet. But when things get going next week, I'm sure we'll have an update there.
Yeah, the only bad part about Sunday is you had a rookie come in Quentin Meeks, and he played
Meeks,
really
yes.
well.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
And then he goes down with that knee injury.
He almost got 2 picks.
Sprained
Yes,
MCL.
one of the CLs, right? It was the
Yeah,
MCL.
it was the MCL.
Which is
So
good.
He's not out for the entire season, but Doug Marone said yesterday he will miss some time. All right, we just asked Ashlyn the question about the players being out in London. I found out about it on Saturday during, Florida, Georgia, and thought to myself, 4 a.m. seems extreme. I understand that to them it's still just like 11 p.m. because of the time change. So their bodies are still on East Coast time and certainly not London time. But at the same time, even if you're wide awake, don't you think to yourself, hey, I need to get back to the hotel room because we have practice on Saturday and I need my body to start getting adjusted to this time zone that we're in. And oh, by the way, I'm a professional athlete, so I probably shouldn't be out and about this late. I had no issue with the bar tab per se. I don't necessarily think that the guys were drinking all that added up to that.
That's the VIP experience.
Yeah, I think you're buying for people and
or the club is sending them over and you're thinking that they're comped and they're not.
And so that was never my issue.
And I'm guessing they weren't just a bunch of dudes hanging out.
No.
Right.
So
But
you got free bottles, you got plenty of women
at some
around.
point, I think somebody, especially like Ashley mentioned, the veteran in Barry Church, somebody needs to look down and go, and it was reported that Telvin Smith was there, certainly another veteran. Look down and go, okay, guys, we need to leave by X time. I think midnight would be appropriate, even though I know, again, they're on East Coast time, but I think they were out way too late for what, they had coming up, which was, oh, by the way, a game the very next day. And an important game, too. You're facing the defending Super Bowl champions. Both teams are 3-4. You've really been struggling. Yes, if you want to blame the offense because it's mostly defensive players, by all means, that's what you can do. But still, get your act together, get to bed, go to practice on time the next day. And then it would have avoided all of the detainments and the issues and the incident.
At first, I kind of thought, like, oh, this is going to get blown up. Like, it's not really that big of a deal. Like, the first thing, once you start diving into it is like, look, the club probably sent over a bunch of different bottles. Probably the perception just looks bad. But then I heard what the Eagles did, and Doug Peterson setting a curfew for all of his team. And he said, I set an 11 p.m. curfew because this is a business trip. And I think that the Jaguars have been playing over there so much that they think of it as, this is a little bit of a break. This is, we can let loose a little bit because of the way the London game is treated. It's almost like a mini Super Bowl is what I've heard. So I think that
they don't often get the Friday night to go out because they usually travel on Saturday, probably to eliminate a lot of this.
Right.
So yeah, they get to take advantage of the time.
And I think that in the future, they're not going to have this kind of leeway. They're definitely going to be having curfews, and they probably should have had a curfew. I don't fault them for wanting to get away and wanting to hang out, especially in a city like London, and to experience everything that it has to offer. Apparently this club that they went to is one of the top rated clubs in the London area, so it's one of those things that it's like you want to give the guys a little bit of a leash, but then a few of them ruin it for everybody else.
If you're winning, everybody,
true,
it doesn't become a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But when you are losing and you're losing the way you're losing, it becomes, the word optics has been thrown around all week. It's bad optics. It's a bad look. It's a bad look to go out and get busted and then get your ass kicked on Sunday. Now, and again, the ass kicking was not as bad as we've seen. It was a game that they were close in, and it's not the reason they lost. But no, it just looks bad. It's like, come on. You've been there before. Act like you've been there before. And oh, by the way, if you win on Sunday, we're not even talking about this. So, yeah.
I was surprised there wasn't a curfew, though, because that's the first thing I said is, okay, this is a team that's been losing. It's on a 3-game losing streak.
I'll tell you, Leon,
you've got the time change. What in the world? Why wouldn't you issue a curfew?
Leon, I don't know if he said this on air, but I'm just going to go with it for the moment here. Leon said that when he played for the Jags, there were strict curfew rules where they had somebody at the elevator on both sides. I mean, at whatever hotel they were staying at, to make sure that if you got it, if you were breaking curfew, somebody knew about it. And he was really surprised at how loose of an approach this was. This was just being a couple of days. Now, again, the difference is normally the Friday night they don't have a curfew because they're not either traveling or whatever. But still, the point being, you're traveling with the team and you've got a football game to lose on, or excuse me, to win. I guess you have it to lose
Not
as
false.
well. So no, it's a really bad look. It just piles on with all the other crap that this team is dealing with and has self-inflicted at this point for that situation.
Former Jaguars defensive end Marcellus Wiley joined Jeff and Dan on the Drill. This was this past Friday, and he talked about how as a professional athlete, you get paid to do so much more than just play in the football game on Sundays. You get paid to do community service. You get paid to go to treatment. You get paid to treat your body the best possible way you can and to be professional. And it had never really occurred to me that the guys get paid to do all those other things. I just always thought, yeah, they get paid to practice and they get paid to play and they sacrifice their bodies for making a lot of money, but for the long term, because of this violent game that they choose to play. Yeah, you know what? You do get paid so much money, so much more money than most of us will ever think about getting deposited into our bank account on a weekly basis. I think that does require you to go above and beyond just, okay, the normal person. If I go out to a friend's party on a Friday night and I show up to work Saturday morning to talk college football, let's just say, I need to be clear-headed and articulate, and I can't just walk in and be in a daze from the night before and be like, oh, well, here we go, right? So there's an expectation level as far as professionalism that goes.
But 2 nights before a show,
sure,
are you going out?
And if I am, I know that it's not going to, but the athletic part is the difference. If I knew I had a really hard workout in 2 days, I absolutely would not go out and get hammered or stay out till 4 a.m. because I know my body's not going to adjust, and I'm not 21 either, but my body's not going to adjust the same way. I'm going to drink a lot of water, eat some carbs 2 nights before and the night before, just because that's what I know works best for me. And so that's where I just feel like you are treated, or I expect you to treat yourselves like fine-tuned athletes, and if you want to go out on a Friday night, by all means, go out, have a couple drinks, that's it. But be at home at a reasonable hour. I think that's a reasonable expectation.
I mean, I try to put myself in their shoes, and they've had a season that is tumultuous at best, and then they're going to go across and go to this great city, one of the best cities in the world, and you're going to be treated like a rock star, and you're getting sent all these bottles, and I think you just get a little caught up. And I think that's what happened in this situation. They got a little caught up. We would have never heard about this story if it wasn't for the bar tab incident, and we probably wouldn't even care if the Jags were winning. And I think it could just have been an innocent, let's just go out, let's have a couple drinks, and that's usually how it starts. Like, let's just have one drink. And it never usually ends up that way.
Everybody knows that line.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just have one drink.
And they should have walked away earlier. They shouldn't have caused a ruckus with the bar tab. But I do think that they're, if you're going over to London to play in the spectacle of a game, that kind of is part of it a little bit, is going out and having a good time. And maybe they were only doing it just because the season has been so stressful all year and they're trying to get away with it. But they could have just waited a few more days and then be able to do whatever they want and no one would care.
Right, because you have this whole week to get away, or at least starting tomorrow, like Ashlyn said, to get away. All right, we come back, we're going to talk a little Halloween and holidays as far as how do we not eat too much. We'll give you some of our advice tips, if we have any, that is. That is all next. You're listening to Helmets and Heels, built by Dreamfinders Homes on 1010XL. I didn't feel like starting a new topic.
No, I
3
got
minutes left. Like, if I was running a marathon on Sunday, I would not go out Friday night till 4 a.m. Granted, I don't go out till Friday night at 4 a.m. anyway. But even if I was 22, I still would not go out Friday night till 4 a.m., then try to recover Saturday for a marathon on Sunday. And I know these guys are in much better shape, but you know what I mean? Like, yeah. I would think about it leading up that weekend. I would think about it leading up.
I don't know that they actually went and got trashed. I just think that they're having a few drinks, and there's probably a ton of people around, and it's not a good look.
I mean, you obviously, at least in my opinion, I'm not paying a $3,000 bill myself unless I'm drinking a good portion of the $3,000 bill, right? Like,
I know how those clubs work. I know how the Vegas clubs work, and they use attractive women as currency.
Sure, as bait, yeah.
And as long as the guys have a table, they're sending flocks of girls, flocks of women to your table, and they're all drinking for free. They're all inviting their friends, and that's how those bills rack up real quick.
And why I mean, that's a dumb question. I was gonna say, why would you? I would, as the girl, I'd be like, as the male, I would look over and be like, wait, I don't know her. She's not getting free drinks.
Oh, no. The
But
more the merrier.
But I mean, I look at it too. Like Bear Church is married, right? So if I'm him, I'm like, I don't. Wait, whoa. I don't. These guys can pay the bill of these chicks. Like, I don't want to be paying the bill. I've got a wife and a kid. I don't want to be paying the bill. Of these
You just don't want to see that on your credit card receipt.
Correct.
You don't want his wife looking at his credit card receipt and seeing those charges.
What's I gonna say? I don't know. Something.
I mean, I wouldn't go to a bar with
Wasn't it like
friends
an
and be like, yeah, I
upscale,
got you
like,
top
burlesque?
all night till 4 a.m.
I want to be like that. I want to have that kind of money.
Right.
Not gonna lie.
So my brother got married in Vegas a year ago in January, and it was small, and her parents, we went to Tao nightclub for like the after party, and they rented like a special section. We had bottle service,
Nice.
and we fucking felt like dollars. It was so ridiculous.
How much did it cost you though?
That was the reception.
Oh,
we went
that's cool.
On their tab, like her parents for the wedding, because they got married at the Venetian. That's where we stayed, and then Tao, the nightclub inside there.
We were both
has-
thinking you meant after the reception.
Oh,
the
I'm
after
sorry.
party after the reception.
No,
you're
yeah.
good.
So okay, so the after party after the reception
I was
was
gonna say that
like
probably cost
kind of
20
low
grand.
key, and then her parents paid for like bottle service for like the 12. You know, there was a smaller group, but his groomsmen and then us.
At least a few grand though.
And I like lost my mind. Like all these people are in their early 20s, and here I am in my mid 30s, and I'm like pouring shots in people's
Oh,
hands
hell
with
yeah.
bottles. And the next day I was like, what have I done? I walked back, my feet hurt so bad. It was like 4 a.m. I was like, what have I done? Yes, it was. I was like, I can't do this. And then I got horrible news that my friend was like
Oh yeah.
dying in the hospital, and we flew home. It was terrible. She died of the flu last year.
It's the
Jesus.
ugh.
Yes, it was terrible. But that all took, like, I roll over and I look at my phone, and so, you know, obviously is it mountain time in Vegas? Whatever it is. It's like 2 hours earlier, and I went down, I'm like,
Yeah, it's
what is all this tech? I am so confused.
Pacific.
I'm like, holy shit. Is it Pacific?
Yeah, Pacific time.
Either way, it was early as shit.
I thought Pacific was 3 hours.
Yeah.
Isn't that California?
Well,
But
from-
Vegas is 2.
Well, from here. So Central, I was
Oh.
in Central time.
Oh, okay.
So remember, so it's like
So 2.
2 hours for me difference.
Yeah.
Okay.
But still, I was like, oh, what is happening? What?
Oh my gosh.
It's awful.
I think being hungover, like the way it
It's
affects,
terrible.
obviously everybody is different.
Oh.
For me, it creates this awful paranoia. I don't get very hungover, or I don't get hungover very often. In fact, it's like once every year. It doesn't happen, thankfully, very often at all. But when it happens, it's this awful, like everyone's gonna die that I love, and I'm gonna get. I'm like terrified to look at my phone. It's this weird, and I've read an article before that says. It's weird, but like the blood.
I just sleep and eat pizza.
I just don't like I'm gonna vomit. And that's the
No,
worst
it's
thing.
they say that like there's and now I have other friends that get it too, and like I have one friend who freaks out and she's like, oh my gosh, what did I say yesterday? I know I made everybody mad. Now nobody likes me. It's this awful paranoia. It's the alcohol in your bloodstream is literally creating like this
Anxiety.
feeling, right, and anxiety because you don't have enough oxygen in there because there's enough alcohol in there to replace
Oh,
that.
see, I keep regular stocks of pickle juice and ginger ale in my fridge
Pickle juice
both
helps
curb.
with it.
because all the sodium.
Oh.
It's like Pedialyte almost. It just replenishes all the nutrients. So I take a couple swigs of that.
I always
Go.
say I wouldn't drink if I
Not
got
really.
hungover. Like the way that some people get hungover where they're throwing up and they feel absolutely garbage the next day where like you waste a beautiful day because you're just like laying around. I would never drink if I felt like that.
Yeah.
There was a period,
Alright,
like
here we
2 years,
Thank you.
where I had that like every time I drank.
Oh.
But I was also going through a bad time.
On 1010XL.
You're listening to Helmets and Heels, built by Dreamfinders Homes
Presented by Underwood Jewelers and American Window Products.
on 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
JJ, you do a terrific job for us every Tuesday night and we really appreciate it. And I just realized I didn't even give you the music spotlight for tonight to be able to give away the Peterbrook Chocolate Heel.
By the way, we need Daly's Place to start scheduling a little bit more events. We've been through a few of these bands.
That is That is what happens when, you've got a lot going on in Jacksonville, FLA. But this is the song for tonight that JJ has chosen. If you know the name of the band or the name of the song, text into the 1010XL text line, driven by Duval Ford, 641-1010, and you will win tonight's Peterbrook Chocolate Heel. I remember this happening last year too, JJ. Around this time, they start to slow down with events and they start planning for 2019. So we will get some new events coming up next year. But until then, great work, and I am excited for whoever wins tonight's Peterbrook Chocolate Heel, because that means they could potentially give it to someone tomorrow for Halloween. Speaking of Halloween, Lauren Rue, you've got 2 kids. What are your children going to be?
My daughter will be Princess Peach from Mario.
Nice.
Yes, and her best friend is going as Mario himself.
That's cute.
Yes, on Yoshi. He has
cute.
Yes.
I'm excited that she already has a best friend.
Yes, and it's a boy, and she will come home and be like, so-and-so says that me and Ryder are boyfriend, girlfriend, but we're not. We're just best friends. I'm like, well, you tell so-and-so to shut their mouths because you can be friends with boys without having to be their boyfriend.
She's already friend zoning people.
I know, she's straight up. No, she rules like the boy club. She doesn't have many girlfriends, but we're working on that. But the boys, like it's her growing up with an older brother and always being drugged to his things where there's whatever. So she's going as Princess Peach. And my son, who's 9, who's had identity crises, trying to figure out, I don't know what to be, Mom. Every single year it's like, I don't know what to be. I'm like, why don't you go as this? No, and I will throw out all these suggestions. And his original first choice was to go as the Grim Reaper, or a version of that, which I was like, dude, you were that 2 years ago. And he's like, oh yeah. So I don't know what to be now. And he goes, you know what? I want to be one of those, I don't even know what they're called. I was going to say unitard, but it's not even, it's the whole body leotard thing that zips up. That covers your whole body. It's just a color. I mean, it's just a thing.
I've seen people do that for JAG games.
Yes, and
Jumpsuit.
he's a jumpsuit.
But it covers your face.
It's literally
too?
your whole. It zips up
I
the
think
back.
it's a unitard.
Yeah, but
That sounds awful.
right. But it covers your whole your whole
like
body.
the Blue Man Group.
Like the Blue Man Group,
Yeah.
but that's paint. But
Right.
yes, but you can't see your eyes or anything. He's going as a gold one of those, and I'm like.
That's like a Florida State fan.
But you know what? The costume doesn't look gold. It actually looks yellow, so he looks like a stream of urine. He's tall and skinny.
Tell him that?
No, but I might. Would that be rude?
Tell him in like a
No.
few years. You remember that
I was
time
like,
he
don't
dressed
tell
up
him
as
until
Peach?
after
sure
tomorrow night.
right. Are you sure you don't want to do? I'm like, maybe you could be like an Oscar trophy, like the Oscar trophy, but it's not gold. So I don't know.
All right, and so then as parents, will you and Daniel dress up?
No, I know I'm not one of those parents who ever did themey stuff, or we're like, oh, we're all going together. No, I never.
What about
did
just
that.
your own costumes?
If we went to a costume party, we totally would. Our best duo costume dress up was a few years ago. We went as Pauly D and Snooki.
Oh, nice.
From Jersey
That's
Shore.
awesome.
I even went complete with the fake French tip fingernails where I left like a few off. I don't know if you ever watched Jersey Shore. But
Oh, I love
Snooki
Jersey
would get
Shore.
so hammered that 3 of her fingernails would fall off, and she'd just be in this hot mess. And I pulled it off perfectly.
And you know she has 10 million followers on Instagram
Oh,
now.
yes.
And so totally flipped that into a whole business. She's a really
Yes.
good mom now. Really
Uh-huh.
great wife. She met her husband on the show.
Yeah. So there's
Giovanni.
there's a
I'm
lot of
obsessed.
families who will go, hey, we're all going as a theme together. And I looked at Daniel last night and I go, are we terrible parents because we didn't carve pumpkins? He's like, no. I'm like, okay, good. We didn't carve pumpkin. It's like, I'm tired. It's football season.
Yeah.
And
I
my
have a
kids
friend, by the way,
didn't
who
ask.
carved a pumpkin with her son, and she took the picture
A
of
drill
him.
bit?
Yeah, using the drill bit,
Yeah,
and so then
that's-
it's the
that's
whole
cool.
different, almost like polka dot pumpkin with
Yeah,
the light
that's cool.
shining
That's
through.
very cool.
It was fantastic.
Daniel
I'd never
just
seen a
texted
drill.
me. He said he usually dresses up. He does. He's the one non-Debbie Downer in the family. He dresses up.
He's correcting
Something,
you.
yes. He's like, I usually dress up. I asked. I don't know. He'll probably text me right now. I don't know that he's dressing up tomorrow, but he's welcome to do so.
Blythe, what about you?
Oh, I'm dressing up.
Do you go to a party or
well,
do you have trick-or-treaters?
Usually, Halloween is tough. I usually do a lot of cosplay for a local company called GAM, Games, Art, and Music. So I just recycle whatever costume that I used for them because I spend a lot of time and energy on making those costumes. So I usually just recycle it. So about a month ago, they had a show, GAM Retro Night, and I dressed up as Mega Man. And so for Halloween, my boyfriend went out and got a whole like Doc Wiley, who's also a character in Mega Man. So we went out and got like a whole like Doc Wiley outfit. And so at first we weren't going to go out, but we found a place that's doing something for Halloween. And that's the Volstead downtown. They're one of the few places that are actually having an event on Halloween night. Most places all had their Halloween parties last weekend, which is a bummer because it's on Florida, Georgia. And how many people can party all day at Florida, Georgia, and then go out for a Halloween party?
Yeah.
Not me.
Well,
No.
but it's a Wednesday night, so the
young
bar's
ones.
also probably like, how many people are we really going to get on a Wednesday night? By the way, I did see when I was at Surfer a couple weeks ago that they are having a Queen tribute band tomorrow night on Halloween, and I was like,
Sunday's
that's
doing
actually
something
really
similar.
fun.
They're having a Queen tribute band and for the premiere of the new movie Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, so I thought that was actually, as far as maybe being somewhat low key, because I wouldn't be interested in like the Wednesday night, but as far as like that would be fun. But we're gonna go to a friend's house who has a kid, and we're just gonna hang out in the driveway and pass out candy.
Yeah.
And I already
Do
dressed
kids
up
still
for
do
Halloween
that?
Bunko.
What?
Yeah.
Like in a neighborhood?
Oh, heck
or
yeah. Oh, trick or
Yeah.
treat?
I thought it was more like to do it like a trunk or treat or
Oh.
like at a church
Some
or
kids
something.
Some
do.
do that.
Yeah.
That's an alternative or an addition to our kids trick or treat. And you know what's hard about having kids who trick or treat that you've got to go with, and then having a house that you want people to stop at, right? So it's like,
Right.
So we always put a bowl of candy on the front porch and just turn the light on and then take our kids. And I don't care if you take all of it or just some of it.
I'll
so.
take
Yeah.
that bowl too.
Yeah,
Oh, I mean,
that's dangerous.
The amount of candy that comes home, you talk about gives you anxiety to do that. Gives me anxiety because my kids turn into like straight psychopaths when they have that much sugar. It's like,
Yeah, I think it's like a piece a night.
oh,
And see how long it
and
lasts.
It is so. We'll have it till like freaking July, and it's like, can I have more? And so we'll go through and like pull on a whole bunch.
You know,
Well,
I
make sure there aren't razor blades in here, kids, and heroin needles.
still
So.
have a grudge against my brother because I got a full-size candy bar when we
Nice.
were younger,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I had my bowl, he had his bowl, and I had the big candy bar sitting on top of it, and he ate it. And I still, to this day, 20 years later, will not let him live it down.
Oh, that's rude.
That's
We
really
always
rude.
used pillowcases. Did y'all use those to get the candy?
We had
What was
the
it? I'm
bins,
sorry.
the buckets.
Pillowcases?
We had
Yes.
the bucket, like the
Because
orange
we were trying to
pumpkin
get like
bucket.
the
You
huge
want to
amount of
you want to hear
candy.
how mean I am? In addition to people already thinking I'm mean, when I am at home and if there are trick or treaters, if you ring my doorbell and I open the door and you just stare at me, it's like the stare down. I won't just.
They
like,
have to say trick or treat.
Yes. That's the easiest thing. You would be shocked to know how many kids just walk to the door and stick their bucket out like, give me, and I'm like, which one of us is going to break first?
Do you
And
put
they're gonna be me.
do you put an age limit on the kids?
No, not really. But if it's like where it's older, I'll be like, "What are you supposed to be? You have like a hat on that says Make America Great Again." I'm like, "What do we do?" You know what I mean? Like the
Well, that's kind of scary.
pre-teenagers who just phone it in and like will change one thing about themselves. I'm like, that's not really trying.
You got to put some effort into it.
I had an embarrassing situation happen a few years ago. So I have a dog, right? No big deal. Well, this cute little girl comes to the front door, does the trick or treat thing, and her parents are a few, maybe 10 yards away. And instead of saying trick or treat, she goes, "Your house smells like dog."
Oh
And
no!
I was like,
You
listen, you
immediately
little.
Shut the
cleaning
door.
the house.
I would
Kid.
shut the door.
Like, I could not believe, and I get it, she's like 6 years old. She doesn't mean
Oh, kids
to
are the
say
ultimate
anything.
truth tellers, man.
Right,
They
but it
Jerks.
was
don't care.
like, it was like, now I don't even want to open my door for anyone else. You've now ruined it.
Yes, now
for
I'm
everyone else.
self-conscious about it.
And
Did you
shut
go out the
door.
next day and buy a bunch of air fresheners?
Right?
No, I probably just cleaned, like for real cleaned. But sometimes it's hard. Like dogs like dirt, and it's difficult to keep.
No,
dogs
my
smelling good
parents'
every single
house,
day.
they have 2 huge dogs, and every time I walk into the house, I notice a smell immediately.
Yeah.
Well,
And,
I
and she
learned-
cleans all the time.
But I learned that carpet changes everything. Like if
Oh,
you have
yeah,
carpet, the
the
dirt
smell,
and the
yeah.
smell
Yeah.
is trapped. But if you have, which we have now, tile floor, wood floor, then it's so much easier to keep the smell out of there. Plus regular baths.
Now,
is
my
also-
old neighborhood where we just moved from, there will be stops along. There are stops along the way where they have like little bottles of wine and liquor for
Oh,
the
hell
parents
yeah.
and drinks and stuff.
That's
it's pretty
awesome.
Cool. So yeah, so it's like there's like the kids streets, and then there's the adult streets,
No
and then you get
way.
the kids to bed, and all the adults hang out in the driveways and stuff like that. So
I
that's
think
what they're calling
nowadays people go on golf carts. I think that's kind of the solution to having to walk everywhere.
Yeah.
Is parents will just
What?
put the kids. Yeah, that's what I think. I'll tell you.
Make
after
your
somebody
behind
brings me-
walk.
By the way.
No, I know, but I'll tell you
I
next
do.
week.
Neighborhoods do you live
Everybody
I
at the
have one.
beach has golf carts. Oh, you have
I've got one. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And everybody pretty much in Nocatee has a golf cart. I've been told that. So you fit.
Did
right
you
in.
say uppity folks?
Yeah.
Hey, listen, Mr. Single Man who hangs out and plays
With
video
no
games
golf cart.
alone.
I haven't played video games in
Probably got full
I'll come
candy
pick
bars
you, I'll
everywhere.
come pick you
I'll
up,
be here at
JJ.
work.
I'll come. Oh,
Like I am
Oh.
every Halloween, yes.
that is true.
All right. What is the scariest movie that you've ever seen?
The Grudge.
And tell us just not too much, because that will give people
Well,
nightmares, but just a
it's
little bit.
kind of themed off of The Ring, which is I think one of the scariest movies of our lifetime. Well, for me, it was. But The Grudge was scary enough for me that I have not watched a scary movie since, because I was an adult. I was like 25 years old when I first saw The Grudge, and I had nightmares for 3 weeks afterwards. And I said I'm too old for these nightmares.
Yeah, I don't like scary movies. I don't like to be stressed out, and I am immediately stressed out and anxious. If I'm going to watch a movie, I want to like actually be able to relax and enjoy it.
I can't.
I watched in college. We watched House of a Thousand Corpses, which is this weird. I mean, it's a Rob Zombie production. Terrible. And but the running joke with Daniel and I, every time we're in like on a road trip or in some sketchy place, and we're like, ooh, that's definitely a House of a Thousand Corpses. It's like a house that looks run down. For sure, body parts are kept in jars and stuff, and there's like things hanging on the walls.
See,
So-
I can't. I cry, and
I don't cry. I just don't have. The anxiety would keep me up all night. I wouldn't sleep.
See, I talked about this a little bit during the break, but I will get lost in like a creepy Reddit thread, and even just reading about like ghost stories or creepy
How do you
stories.
get lost in something like that when you know you don't like it?
I don't know.
It's like staring at a car wreck where you're like, I don't want to see it, but I'm gonna.
I
look
just
anyway.
keep reading and I just keep crying, and it's an endless thing. But every time I see it, I will read it. But watching it, watching it is a bad experience because I keep my ears covered the whole time. I'm peeking out just a little bit out of one eye, and
that's not enjoyable. I don't like any of that. No.
I think it would be interesting to have like a heart rate monitor attached to different people watching a scary movie, because like I'm the same way with you. All of a sudden, my heart is in my throat.
They would
I'm
call the police
sick to
for
my
me.
stomach. Like, yeah, I feel
She's being
as
attacked.
stressed as the person, the
Yes,
actress
I'm stressed
in the movie.
for you. Yes,
I'm as
even though
stressed
I
as
know
that
it's not
person.
real.
Yet, someone like Fat Tony, right? Tony Smith loves scary movies. He absolutely loves them. He'll go to see them in the theater. So, for someone who's the complete opposite of us, like if we taped that to him, would he just be calm, cool, and collected? Like, does it not bother him?
psychopath.
Psychopath is right.
Tony's a
I do
psychopath.
like to watch.
He liked The Last Jedi. So.
I do like to watch people go through like haunted houses. Like on Ellen, when she sets up these, and they like she makes her assistants go through these haunted houses and
cruel.
stuff.
It's mean.
Oh, but it's funny because you watch them get freaked out, and that is a funny thing to watch because
You go to jail for assault. Like that's what would happen.
Yeah,
You just
I watched
punch somebody.
I watched it at the unfortunate age of 8 years old. which
oh no,
was way too young
What?
and
Yes.
way too scary.
Lord, that's
and
terrible.
then also, I think
Pet Cemetery was around that time too.
the
I do
original
remember
Halloween,
seeing that.
I think, will give, well, not necessarily the original. The one I just saw like 2 minutes of the other day, The Curse of Michael Myers. It's like the sixth one or
of those,
something.
Yeah.
And I vividly remember like the woman running with the baby, and he's coming in.
Pet Cemetery's coming out with a new one too.
Why? Oh, I just.
Gives me chills just thinking
It
about
shocks
it.
me
Not
that
happening.
people can actually take these in and enjoy them. I will never again in my life watch a scary movie. It just, to me, yes, there's nightmares. And there's also every single time I'm home by myself, even if
Oh
the,
yeah, no,
even if the sun is shining and it's daylight,
no.
you hear like a creak, and then all of a sudden your mind goes right back to whatever scary situation you saw in the movie. Oh, it's just terrible. All right, last conversation with Halloween tomorrow, Thanksgiving next month, which, by the way, next month is in just a couple days, and then Christmas right around the corner. How do you not go overboard with eating? Now, Blythe, you always talk about how much you love to eat on holidays. So you certainly will allow yourself to go overboard that day, but then how do you adjust accordingly.
I kind of think it's important to let yourself go a little bit on holidays, to enjoy those different foods. And I kind of keep that philosophy in just everyday regular life. Like I try to indulge on the weekends and eat right during the week. But during the week it makes it super easy. But I either meal prep or I've recently started using a company called Superfit Foods, and they make all of your food for you. You tell them what you don't like. So like quinoa and sweet potatoes or certain things like that I don't like, and I'll check it off on the list, and they'll send you a variety of foods. It averages about like $8 a piece, but it helps me. I don't have to cook a lot or at all really, and I just have a slew of food right in my fridge, just ready every single week. It's cool. I like it.
I have staples that I look forward to every year around the holidays. Like I don't eat turkey very often because I just don't, but every year for Thanksgiving it's like turkey. It's mashed potatoes. It's peas from a can.
Gravy.
It's
Peas from a can?
Yes, LeSueur peas from a can. I know, how ridiculous is that?
How else do you get peas?
Frozen.
Yeah.
Oh.
Some people do frozen and all that kind of stuff. But so for me, it's like I look forward to that time. And then once I've had it, I'm like, no, I'm good. But I'm going to be really honest with you. During football season, it's whatever I can find to eat majority of the time. And that paired with kids and activities, there are times where Daniel and I, like yesterday, we met at the ice rink, and I'm like, I'll take one kid, you take the other. What are we doing for dinner? I don't know. You feed that one, I'll feed this one, and then we'll just figure it out. So I've come to adjust to it and know that from like August till January, that's just life, and then we try to get it right the rest of the year. We do what we can.
Yeah, I think, to me, I'm not going to ever go so crazy on the holidays that I feel so incredibly full that I just want to.
Why not? That's like the
roll
best. Then you
out.
like take a nap.
I don't
or
like
feel
that
sick.
feeling of
Yeah.
like that's so full. I don't like that feeling, and so. But I try to make sure that I just don't get everything. Like I get the stuff that I really want. Don't just like
I get everything.
Yeah, don't just be like, oh, well, so and so
With it to
made
go by.
this. Like I want to eat the stuff like I really want, and then sure, yeah, you can take a to-go box and then do like, some
Leftovers
leftover
for the
stuff.
whole weekend.
Yeah, but I do try to amp up the exercise part of it from now until probably like March, just because I feel like your active lifestyle decreases from now until then because it's colder, it gets dark early. But if I can increase the times I go to the gym, then I feel like it all balances out. Like I'm not going to go for as many bike rides or walks or just, spend more time outside until it gets nice again.
It also puts me in a little bit of a predicament this year because I just remembered that my boyfriend and I are going to the Dominican Republic in the last weekend of December, and if we're going to be in a bathing suit the whole time, it's like, dang, we really gotta hammer down, I
That's
guess.
hard.
Still going to indulge on the holidays though.
As you should.
Yeah, I mean, to each their own. But
We're all gonna eat Halloween candy tomorrow.
see, I'm not a candy person.
What?
I can get
She doesn't
through-
like chocolate.
I don't like sweets. Chocolate, Peterborough chocolate's the only chocolate.
How about
that
I bring
like.
you raisins?
But yeah, I'm good. Thanks. But no.
Chocolate covered raisins?
Indulge absolutely in the turkey and the mashed potatoes and the green bean casserole. All right.
And gravy.
Donna Murphy will hopefully be able to rejoin us next week. Until then, for Lauren Rue and Blythe Brumleve, I'm Lauren Brooks. But don't go anywhere. XL Primetime with Hacker and Andrew Gibson is coming up next. And as always, thanks to our producer, JJ La Selva. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday evening.
Bye guys, we'll see you here next week, next Tuesday, 6 to 8 p.m. Yeah, 6 to 8 p.m.
Enter the 1010X